Hello everyone, you are watching a snippet of the April 20th, 2023 countdown program. Today is Thursday. Bonus story: The Kremlin is frightening. Look at Dailymotion. See the full version of this program on the Patreon resource. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. And now to the main thing. The counteroffensive of the armed forces of Ukraine has not yet begun, and the slanderous propagandists have already squirmed. On Wednesday, the Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Anna Maliar, dropped a phrase about a set of counteroffensive measures that are already being carried out, and the rashist propagandists were overexcited. Specifically, Maliar stated the following: "It is incorrect to speak narrowly about the counteroffensive. This is a huge complex of actions and activities carried out by the armed forces of Ukraine. This is, first of all, preparing people for a complex of actions, both defensive and offensive. But altogether, if we are talking about our strategic goal, this can be called counteroffensive measures." End of quote. The rashists inflated this phrase almost to the size of the Battle of Stalingrad, which allegedly had already begun. Their nervousness is easy to read. By and large, they are no longer sure of anything. Their vaunted spring offensive failed. The price for not taking Bakhmut had already been paid so much that it was better not to start. The two-legged meat itself goes into contract service so reluctantly that it is necessary to introduce digital agendas and drive them into operation with draconian repressions. Residents of St. Petersburg have already begun to receive electronic summonses to their personal accounts at the state services. According to the chief military commissar of the city, Sergei Kachkovsky, they are still being duplicated on paper, but the new system is being actively tested before the autumn conscription. By that time, a unified register of military records will be ready. Meet now went timid and incredulous. Even if you go not for fear, but for money, then, firstly, the Wagner PMC pays more, and secondly, the command there is more sane than in the Ministry of Defense, and in general, Shoigu is not a military man, and his generals have already compromised themselves so much, that the Putlo Führer dismisses one after another. Even the Ministry of Defense commercially uses the most vulgar argument: "You're a man." They could immediately say on the hair dryer, "You're not a big-eared frar, but a smart kid." In a word, just as there was no fighting spirit, there is none. Checking the readiness of the Pacific Fleet showed such an excellent level that they had to urgently remove the commander. Sergei Avakians has been relieved of his post. Now he will develop centers for military sports training and patriotic education. His resignation has already been confirmed by Deputy Prime Minister, Presidential Envoy to the Far Eastern Federal District Yuri Trutnev. A certain source in TASS is trying to soften the resignation. They say, Avakians recently turned 65 years old, his grandfather is old, it's time to land and retire. But looking at the energetic young commander-in-chief, dissecting the occupied territories with an icon under his arm, one somehow cannot believe in the decrepitude of the sea wolf. The Ministry of Defense and the command of the Russian Navy are not yet ready to talk about the results of a sudden inspection of the Pacific Fleet, although the very fact of the resignation is eloquent. Several sources hinted in undertones that the results of the audit were negative and revealed serious miscalculations in the management of the fleet. And then NATO Secretary General Stoltenberg arrived in Kyiv. It is clear that for the last clarifications before the start of something grandiose. This conjecture further unnerves the Kremlin and the Defense Ministry. This neurotic exhaustion is included in the menu. Rashists need to be set up for instinctive flight. And then the growing panic in the enemy camp will become a good ally of the armed forces of Ukraine in the liberation of territories. Rashist propagandists are already trembling. A certain Sanyo Belazarov is sending them parcels with plaster busts, very reminiscent of the one that was sent to Fomin Tatarsky's Kobzonary. Propagandist Konstantin Shivkov said that on April 17 he received a parcel with a plaster bust of Marshal Zhukov. The bust was gilded, as was the ill-fated statuette that Tatarsky received at his fiery benefit performance. Frightened, Shivkov turned to the police, believing that this package was directly from the SBU. Later it turned out that 5 identical busts were ordered on April 12 from a workshop in Ulyanovsk. Through the social network Vkontakte, by a mysterious user with the name Sanyo Belazarov. The busts were planned to be delivered to Konstantin Isayev, Konstantin Shivkov, Vladislav Shurigin, Mikhail Tereshchenko, and Timofey Sergeytsev. At the same time, the order was paid from the cart of a certain Kirill Nebagatov. Now they are looking for Belazarov with dogs and other FSB officers. Frightened during the process of overexposure, Anton Krasovsky is already looking for petal-shaped mines under his feet. A little more, and he will take the light bulb in the entrance for a nuclear bomb. By the way, Russians will soon be imprisoned simply for frightening officials and security officials. Scared the cop, went to jail. The devils are panicking, and this is good. Become our patrons now and look further in this program. It is recognized in the West that Putin can go to extremes by using tactical nuclear weapons. In particular, it is possible that this strike could be delivered from the territory of Belarus. The split around the Kremlin is deepening. An angry Gherkin spoke about the nature of the boys' conflict with the West and attacked Putin's propagandists. The State Duma of the Russian Federation approved a number of unconstitutional amendments to the Criminal Code of the Russian Federation aimed at encouraging internal self-censorship and repressions against the Russian public. The Kremlin no longer scares anyone, both its own citizens and NATO, and the result is just the opposite of what was expected. Citizens are fleeing and NATO is expanding. Watch the story on the Dailymotion channel. A meteor from the stream of Lyrids flew in the sky over the Kyiv region. And American drones have registered 2 cases of the appearance of certain UFOs in the Middle East and South Asia. That's just the invasion of alien intelligence to humanity was not enough. And that is all. See the full version on Patreon. And thanks to everyone who is becoming our patrons right now. I hugged everyone. I'll meet you tomorrow, on Friday's live broadcast. Glory to Ukraine.